YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Warhammer, and I hope I'm going to bring you something a little bit unexpected today. So I went online and I had a player pick the Greenskins, and based on a video I'd seen on Maximus, Decimus, Meridius' channel, where he was filming, I think, Duck in a tournament, I wanted to try the army that Duck tried. So I'm playing as Salty Melton here. Interesting story. That was actually the name of someone at one of my brother's wrestling meets in high school. I kid you not. So I decided that since it had Salty in it, it fit patchy. So the Empire is a very, very diverse faction for sure. You have a lot of options available to you with great low-tier infantry and pretty decent high-tier infantry with the great swords. You don't see these guys used a lot because typically people are all focused in on demigryphs and wizards and all kinds of other fun stuff. So I do have a light wizard, and my light wizard's going to take a pot shot at Azag right here. Didn't do a ton of damage, and you can see my magic pool starts off pretty low, so I'm not planning on sniping Azag. I'm just trying to cause a little bit of panic here. So I took a pot shot at him just to get him moving, and hopefully to panic up the Greenskin player a little bit while I'm charging straight at him. I'm kind of keeping my two lords just moving around here in case that the Doom Diver catapults target me, and my plan is obviously these spears, and I gave these spears a run order like 2 or 3 times, and they just keep ignoring me, so I must be misclicking somehow. I take my swords, and I'm just going to rush the main Greenskin line, which is 2 Savage Orcs and 4 Black Orcs. And then, of course, they do have the 1 Doom Diver support. No, make that 5 Black Orcs. So that's a lot of Black Orcs. Very considerable infantry. Azag's going to charge right down into my Great Swords, trying to help out his infantry. So that's not a bad plan. Over here, his boar boys thought they were going to come join the fight, and I hit them with a net of Ammontok just to keep them out of the fight, even though I didn't have anything in range to catch them. But that was just a calculated move on my part so that my infantry could engage all of his black works over here without worrying about being rear charged, and you can see my guys are doing insane damage to him. So the infantry fights quickly swing in my favor. This black work, though, has the chance to get around my flank. It hasn't yet. His boar boys come in, and I move some spears. He definitely should have tried to plunge this charge home, but he did not because he didn't want to get tangled up. I now have enough light wizard magic to cast another net of Ammontok. I'm just waiting on the cooldown. So basically my goal is to cut down his infantry before his savage orc boar boy biggins can rear charge my men, and I'm just using Franz up here just to make sure that Azag really can't do anything terribly useful here. So here's his boar boys, look, just all over the place, trying to find a way to get in here. Here comes another net of Ammontok, so his boar boys are going to be trapped again, far away from the fight, while the infantry fight continues to go heavily in my favor. So I have broken some of his infantry over here, and I'm going to be able to start wrapping up his flank. So I've got 4 units free from the Savage Orcs, and even his Black Orcs are starting to rout. Azag is trying to turn the infantry fight in his favor. So I'm going to bring in Franz, and head-to-head, Franz will definitely do well in this type of engagement. No Spirit Leech or Fate of Buna, which is very odd. Or actually, you know what? That may not be Azag. Could be an Orc War Boss, come to think of it. Flying Monster. Scaly Skin causes terror. That's just a that is an Orc War Boss. So no magic from the Greenskins. A very poor pick indeed. In the case of this Rush army, I'll explain what could have been done to make things a lot different. We'll go out to a screen. Anyway, you can see his boar boys still kept out of the fight by my light wizard. His flying monster being chased off, and he admits defeat. So an Empire Rush army, is Maximus has already said all this, but he's absolutely right. So when I say this is not my doing. This is just something I saw on his channel that I liked, and I wanted to come back here and talk about it too because I really liked the video and his commentary. In fact, I'll link to it so you can go watch it if you want. But yeah, this army is definitely interesting in the sense that, in the tournament, Duck picked this because it's who expects a giant Empire Rush? Pretty much nobody. So because the Empire again has all this diversity, and it gets hard to guess what they're going to bring. So in this case, my opponent brought a very sturdy infantry corps, and with pretty good cavalry support too. We had a Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggin, an Orc Boar Boy Biggin, and 2 Savage Orc Boar Boys. So he had a lot of cavalry. Probably not the world's best cavalry. And he did have the Doom Diver, and you can see it still managed to get 115 kills. He had this Orc War Boss, which he definitely should have brought. And Azag would not really have been the best choice in this battle, honestly, because he had Franz and a light wizard. The orc war boss up on the wyvern, probably questionable too. Would have definitely been better on a war boar down with his men, or better yet, I mean, obviously if he knew I was rushing, Grimgore Ironhide would have been the perfect boss to pick in this. The light wizard would have a pretty decent struggle trying to kill Grimgore on the ground. And Grimgore would do a lot of damage to my great swords, which are the main threat against this army. But with all the spears roaming around and the net of Amatok, makes it very difficult for the orcs to use their cavalry to good success. Let's go talk about the orc picks here and how they could still have been very dangerous in this scenario, though. Again, but the Greenskins definitely have some versatility, but they're not quite as versatile as the Empire. But I mean, they really are pretty versatile. And when I say that, so if you think about the army that my opponent brought, he brought this war boss, and he put him up on the wyvern here, and so that's a grand total of 1,850 that he spent on his lord. Again, it's impossible for him to guess what I'm going to do, but honestly, a lot of times versus the Empire, I don't mind taking Grimgore because there is no Spirit Leech to take him out more easily. So Grimgore becomes a pretty tough pick. You know, for the most part, you do have to be careful, like a cav-heavy Empire army or something like that can get a little more scary, but you know, if I was going to be picking an army up against the Empire, I like the pick of a few Black Orcs. They're very strong infantry. Probably get some big uns to help against cavalry, and if they don't need to be used against cavalry, they're still quite good against infantry. I like the choice of the boars. Typically for me, I've seen tests done between the savage orc boar big uns and the regular ones. Typically the regular ones are more than enough to get the job done, and this leaves you with some extra funds that you have at this point, at which point I would suggest definitely bringing the Night Goblin Shaman. And the reason I say this is because he just has so many helpful spells to buff your infantry and to hurt enemy infantry. So again, if we take a look at this the little log here, which is this one here, very good spells here. This Gork'll Fix It. If you were up against infantry or Empire cavalry, this takes away 18% of their charge bonus, a bunch of their vigor, which will make them tire out faster, and this one slows them down by 25%. And speed is a big part of a cavalry charge. So, and it affects all enemies in range, and it has a 30-meter effect radius. So if the enemy is bringing in a big cavalry charge, this is a great way to slow them down. You have Vindictive Glare, so you can poke at light wizards with Vindictive Glare. It's very good against light wizards, has a very nice range. Curse of the Bad Moon could have been very nasty against my melee rush here. It does take a lot of mana, so you have to decide whether or not it's worth it, but for 22 seconds, any unit that this curse touches would lose 34 melee attack. Even for a great sword, that's devastating. 15 armor and then 25% of their speed as well. If we take a look over here, this Sneaky Stabbin' is a really great spell at only 6 mana. That is a huge boost to the damage that Black Orcs or Big Uns would be doing. Again, for only 6 mana, and it affects all allies within a 30-meter radius, so very good. Itchy Nuisance, again, very devastating to enemy infantry. It takes away a fifth of their weapon damage and a ton of their melee attack, again, for only 8 mana. So it does similar stuff to the Curse of the Bad Moon, except, you know, for quite a bit less mana. Affects anything in a 30-meter radius again. So definitely things that are worth noting here. Can you overcast Curse of the Bad Moon? Extended effect duration? You can't. Holy nasty. 44 seconds that your guys are cursed. Wow. That's 22 of your mana, which is crazy big. But if it went right through the middle of a big infantry line like that, I don't know, man. 44 seconds of them getting completely dusted on their stats. That would be pretty cool, especially if you had enough mana left pretty quickly. If you did that and then followed up with Grimgore's Wog ability, but before it would be ready, you'd probably have to use this one first, so 8 and then 25. So you'd have to wait for your mana to recharge a little bit, but if you did Curse of the Bad Moon, follow that up as quick as you can by, Sneaky Stabbin', which only requires sticks. So yeah, it wouldn't take long. So hit him with the Curse of the Bad Moon Overcast, or just a standard one. Turn around and hit him with the Sneaky Stabbin' on your Black Orcs, and you'd have a pretty cool run going on there in terms of what you could do to the Empire. Now, that Empire Rush would still be difficult to take out, but if you could disrupt enough of the Great Swords using what, in my mind, is very underrated Greenskin magic, This curse of the lore of the Little Wa is really quite good. In fact, I've done just a little bit of playing a Greenskin campaign for fun. Yes, I'm going to do a full Greenskin campaign at some point. I really like the Little Wa lore. It's very fun, and honestly, the Big Wa is pretty fun too. Orc magic is very fun, and I think sometimes gets underused because people just focus in with Azag on the lore of death, which is just so much more familiar. But don't underestimate Little or Big Wa magic. Very good stuff. Definitely recommend using it with the orcs. I think that's part of what makes their armies more versatile, is that magic allows you to buff or slow down enemy units in such a way that you can use the bit of diversity that you're able to bring with an orc army. Now, this would still be tough to defeat that Empire Rush, but for instance, all these boar boys, honestly, they should just go head into that rush. Head into it. As soon as you see it, charge straight into the great swords, cycle back out, get ready to use your shaman to do some damage, and get Grimgor and his men in there and start pounding as many Humies as quick as you can. I would be interested to see an army like this come up against what I just brought and just kind of see how that plays out against players of roughly equal skill. Hope you all enjoyed this video. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Tell me what you think. Do you prefer Empire or Greenskins in that matchup? And if so, what kind of strategies do you like to use one against the other? So if you pick Greenskins, how do you like to beat the Empire? If you pick Empire, how do you like to beat the Greenskins? HeirofCarthage signing out, and I will see you all next time.